Hello, creators, and welcome to Rediscovering Be Something Wonderful, where timeless truths don't just inspire you, they empower you. Today, we're revisiting a powerful lesson from the video archives for anyone who's ever felt stuck in manifesting hell. That place where you keep trying to make the law work, checking for signs, chasing outcomes, trying techniques, and wondering why nothing changes. But here's the truth the teachers and gurus never told you. You were never meant to make it work. You were never meant to apply techniques or practice the law. You are the law. Every assumption, every affirmation, every visualization, every I am is a creative act of God. When you stop chasing outcomes and start knowing who you are, reality has no choice but to yield to you. Now, let's open the vault and revisit this timeless transmission once again. A reminder that your imagination, not your effort, is what creates worlds. Welcome back to Be Something Wonderful.
I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. I got a powerful, long, detailed email from a client that I met with 2 weeks ago. Her first email was just saying, Tom, I talked to you 2 weeks ago. I want to talk about these miracles. I want to share this story with your clients so it can help somebody. And then she asked for permission to send her details. I said, send them. It was a lot. I worked through them, and we're going to put it in this short video. Her insights, her processes, what she did, and how she's creating miracles in her life. So let's get started. Hi, Tom. I had a session with you 2 weeks ago. I want to tell you, I already passed my exam. It was because she had a university exam, big exam. But she was in a state of despair, a state of depression, a year. She had been in this state a whole year before she talked to me. I want to tell you, I've already passed my exam, and I've had incredible. Can't talk this morning. I need another cup of coffee. Incredible miracles happen one after another. She talked about all of these miracles. We're gonna talk about a few of them, but mainly centered around this exam because this is really what moved everything for her. She goes, you can share my story with your subscribers so it may help and encourage them. Beautiful words. After a year of deep depression, after a year of listening to negative thoughts, listening to this negative voice in her head, her negative story, trying dozens of other metaphysical courses and coaches, spending a bunch of money, which she described really as manifesting hell, right? Here's how she aligned with her inner authority, her I am, her true power, and her powerful insights and processes and the takeaways. So we're going to share all of this today. So she discovered the law of assumption about a year ago. Spent lots of money on courses and coaches that she said made things worse, right? And here's some of the things that was told to her, some of the things that she got from these courses and from others that she said made things worse. Things like you must feel good to get what you want. You must change your self-concept. In other words, you must fix yourself. There's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with your life. There's something wrong with your past. There's something wrong with those traumas that you went through. You got to fix all that. You must work on self-love. You got to love yourself, right? Just love yourself, right? This is the thing she heard. You must follow routines and affirmations. Every day you must do these affirmations. You must follow these routines. You must imagine this or that, this imaginal scene or that imaginal scene. You must focus on it all the time or you won't get it. She goes, you must. That's what she said. She goes, it was exhausting. She goes, it made her feel powerless, more powerless. It made her feel more powerless, separated, and hopeless. The voice in her head, it lit up that voice in her head saying that she isn't what she wants to be, that she'll never be it. All of that, right? That 3D linear story of limitation got louder and louder. For a year, She had the assumption, hear this, she held the assumption that she couldn't manifest anything until that voice or that doubt or that fear disappeared. That's what all of that created. Wow, powerful. So, she identified so strongly with that voice of limitation and separation, that I am not story. It was that I am not story. It led to panic attacks, crying, failing health, and worsening conditions. She believed that's who she was, right? She said it created a manifesting hell. I cried and asked for help from my father, the Father, right? And then I found the Be Something Wonderful channel. So she got to this point where she cried for help and she discovered us. I love that. She said there were 3 initial videos that she talked about. I'll leave links in this description. Releasing the biggest bogus belief at all. How to transcend appearances when all hell breaks loose. And she said one of my favorites, Double Dare Your Higher Self. I'll leave links to those. With only 1 week before her big exam that she hadn't studied for, she scheduled a session. So she watched the channel for a little bit. Then just a week before this big exam, where she was still feeling panic attacks, still not there yet, she scheduled a session. So let's talk about this. She says here, I'm quoting her, it's only 1 week before my exam and I had a session with Tom that 30 minutes changed my life. So this is how she wrote it like she was writing it to you. So I'm sharing her insights. It was a letter to you, really, right? Here's some of the things we talked about. Remember, you choose whether to give power to those negative thoughts, whether to give power to any story. That everything exists within your awareness, with your permission, with your power, with your light. Nothing can exist out there, or even in there in inner conditions of thoughts and feelings, any of these temporary conditions, unless you give them power. Right? Like Jesus said to Pilate, you would have no power over me unless it was given from above. Those thoughts, that story, that voice in your head can make your life a manifesting hell. It can crucify you or set you free. You're the operant power behind it. This is what she felt like. It was like Jesus in front of Pontius Pilate the night before his crucifixion. Those thoughts do have that power if you give them that power. Otherwise, they're powerless. There's no power. I am source and there is no other. The panic, anxiety, and fear is source energy, put through a filter of thoughts and assumptions that are not aligned with your true nature, your I am. She discovered this, that all that feelings are source energy. That's excitement of source energy put through these bogus thoughts, that bogus voice in her head telling her that she is not who she wants to be, and she never will be. That's your pure awareness. Remember, with thoughts and assumptions that I am not, right? She had that. I am not story about reality. You're only ever feeling as separation, as sensations in your body, what you are thinking and I am not thoughts do not feel like the truth. So you're only ever feeling what you're thinking and assuming. And those thoughts of I am not, I am a failure, I am small, I will never figure it out, I'll never pass the exam, I'll never be happy in my life. Those thoughts of I am not do not feel like the truth. That's why they don't feel good. You're only ever feeling source energy, but when that source, that powerful source of who you are, from where you come, and of which you are made, is put through these bogus thought filters and assumptions of who you are not, it doesn't feel good. That's how you know those thoughts, that voice, that story, those feelings are not reality, right? They are not. They are an I am not story about reality. They're not reality. These are some of the things we covered, right? Thoughts of doubt, fear, limitation are not reality. They are false ideas about reality. They are temporary forms and manifestations. All thoughts are. Whether they're positive or negative, they're all temporary within that changeless I am awareness. God only knows love, only knows unity, only knows unlimitedness. That's source. That's the only reality. That story, that voice, those thoughts of fear, doubt, and limitation are the unreality of temporary changing forms. They're an unreality. Right? That's why that story, I keep going back to Jesus in front of Pontius Pilate the night before his crucifixion. Jesus knew that was an unreality. He identified the unreality of those conditions. He knew that. He didn't even speak to them. That's why Pilate goes, what? You don't speak to me? I am doesn't speak to those conditions, to that unreality. It's still there. It's trying to talk to you. It's not that you don't hear the voice. Now she moved to a point where she heard the voice and just ignored it, just like Jesus. I don't speak to that voice. You have no power over me unless it's given from above. Remember, in Scripture, it said Jesus didn't talk to him. Pilate goes, what? You're not talking to me? Don't you know I could crucify you or set you free? That's the same thing. Before Abraham, I am. There's only one true story. It's your I am. Before Abraham, before all those voices in your head, before all those thoughts and conditions, before all of it, I am. That's the only one and true story. I am source. I am God, and there is no other. Right? She was waiting. Hear this. She was waiting for the voice in her head, that old story, those thoughts of limitation, that unreality, to give her permission to manifest and live her life until she decided to choose her own true story. Do you see it? That voice in your head will never give you permission, will never tell you that you can live your life now. But she was waiting for that voice to change, that voice to tell her that. She deliberately went to her true story, her source, the Holy Spirit within her, the only true voice, right? The voice of truth. That's what Holy Spirit is. It's that voice of truth within you. That's the only truth of being, that I am. That's powerful. I came to Tom to pass the exam, but he showed me my freedom forever. Very powerful statement. This comes from her email, right? So we didn't really even point to the exam. We talked about something much bigger than that. We hit it at the end, but we got her into that power where that exam's done, and everything else she wants is hers. Right? Pointed to her inner authority, her own inner authority, her natural ability. Her own inner authority and natural ability is I am awareness. That power within him. Remember, the Father who dwells within me does the works. It's the Father within me. It's the Father's will. It's the Father's power. Right? She found her true voice and story, the Holy Spirit, I am. When she just allowed her thoughts, feelings, and voice in her old story of fear to be there without identifying them. In other words, without speaking to them. Like Jesus with Pilate. What, you don't speak to me? That old story was trying to get her attention again. What, you don't speak to me anymore? You don't identify with me? Hey, you're ignoring me? I will not be ignored. They were ignored. Do you see it? And again, not denying them, not running from them, just not listening to them anymore. Not saying that they don't exist. They're there in that awareness. She's just not giving them any power, any reality. She identified the unreality of all of that, right? Like Jesus, I am in front of Pilate. She stopped assuming, answering to, and giving power to the unreality of those temporary conditions. She said, before my exam, only 2 days I had the biggest panic attack. So 2 days now before exam, she suddenly said, I'm done with this. She stopped crying and said out loud, I'm God. I'm the one in charge. There's no voice above me in the kingdom. I love that. There's no voice above me in the kingdom. There's nothing else. I am now my truth. This is what went on with her 2 days before the exam. It was almost like that anomalous burst of energy that we've talked about. That was surging through her, this whole discovery about who she really is, right? Wow, that's powerful. So I fell asleep. Then she says, I fell asleep. She made a point, I just fell asleep. I didn't do a state akin to sleep. I didn't do any of that. I just went to sleep after that. I woke up and looked around me. She said, everything was the same. So remember, 3D reality, it always kind of looks the same, even after you've shifted. But it's different. Once you assume, once you imagine, once you become that person you want to be, once you declare it, once you make that choice, when you open your eyes, 3D reality may look the same, but it's not the same because you're different. So it must be different. This is what she's saying. Everything was the same, but I'm different. I'm no longer in my mind, in my thoughts. I'm no longer my mind. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my body. Wow. She got it that those are temporary appearances or forms within her awareness. In other words, I'm not my old story. Before Abraham, I am. She's at I am awareness. I realized the miracle happened. right? And she said here, I kept hearing stories of people, this is from my videos and as she watched me, I kept wishing it would happen to me. And here I am living it. Here I am living it. That's what happened with just a decision to stop listening to those thoughts. The I am doesn't address those thoughts, doesn't listen to them, doesn't tell the story about them. She experienced miracle after miracle. A few are here, but I want to focus on this big one that really shifted her, right? But there were a bunch of miracles, right? But the big one was the exam. In 2 days, she had not studied, right? Friends called her asking if she bought a massive study bank of questions. There was a study bank available, right, for like $500. And she just didn't, she was thinking about it, she just didn't buy it. And then they were pointing to her a study group that she couldn't open on a computer, so she didn't bother with that either. She just was being guided now by that higher voice, right? Instead, she opened the laptop and found a small 3-year-old study bank, right? Just 40 pages, much smaller than that massive one that her friends wanted to give her. Something that was it was dated. It wasn't even up to date. It was something that she had on her laptop, right? 3-year-old study bank. It was dated. It was limited. But here's the thing. She studied from it, right? Just 1 day before the exam now. 1 day she studied from it, this limited small test bank that was dated, 3 years old, that wasn't even current for current exams. But yet she moved into that knowing that she's God. There is no other. She moves within that awareness. She said the big miracle came from the test bank of the exam was all about that test bank that she studied. Her exam, right? Remember, this is her reality. I don't know what the other exam, she didn't say anything about the other exams, but this was definitely her exam she studied from, right? That's powerful. I just want to point this out. This is really powerful miracle today. My exam starts and we must answer 160 questions in 170 minutes. Multiple choice. I remember this because I think you guys know I'm a CPA, or I was a CPA way back when I first started my career. I studied accounting, worked for KPMG Pete Marwick, studied for the CPA exam. Well, it was mostly multiple choice. There were some other parts of it that were writing and theory. But a big part of it was multiple choice. And they don't give you a lot of time to answer those questions. So I know. And back then, man, I banged it out. It wasn't a metaphysical experience for me back then, or it didn't feel like it. I was studying. I went the hard way, right? She now knows her power. So here's 160 questions in 170 minutes, multiple choice. The exam came from 40 pages I studied that were made 3 years ago. All those questions, she recognized those questions. And I had 22 questions to go with only 1 minute left. And then she goes, I remembered what Tom said, that you can bend time and space. So 22 questions with only 7 minutes, right? So it looked like she took a little bit more time on each question. Remember, that's not a lot of time to answer those questions. You can't delay. You can't be in your head. You got to get going. She goes, then I said, I have all the time to answer these questions. She knows that she's God. She knows that it's only I am awareness. So there is no time. There is no linear time. When I looked at the screen again, then she looks at the screen again, I had only 3 questions with 5 minutes left. In just a split second, she looked back up on the screen and she goes, then I checked those questions again and I had already answered them. Then even the questions that popped up on the screen were already answered. She was done. Right? I can't believe what I saw, she says. I finished the exam and the university informed me that I had passed. She goes, of course, I am. Of course she passed. Of course she's in that awareness. She knows who she is. She's not listening to that voice. She's in the magic now. She's in the miracle. That's powerful. Seriously power. If I knew that back in my early days and I was just starting my career, during this past year of listening to the old story, a voice of fear and doubt, leading up to her awareness as I am and the miracles, she realized, this is another big one. I want to really hit this, what her SP, specific person, said to her. Her SP was with her the whole time during that year, but she wasn't recognizing it. He was just pouring love and there, standing steady in his love for her. During the past year of listening to that old story and voice of fear and doubt, and remember, even at one point, she didn't even want to be in her physical body anymore. She had that thought that I don't want to be here anymore. This is interesting. This ties in because she did have a metaphysical death. She died to her old self. She died to her old story and was resurrected in her new story, in her new life, right? During this past year of listening to that old story and voice of fear and doubt, leading up to her awareness as I am, and the miracles, she realized how her SP was always there, unchanged. Hear this. So powerful. Unchanged by her changing states within. And she said through her crying, I'm missing you. This is what she said to him. Hear this. He almost represented to her I am awareness. Unchanged, unfazed by whatever she was going through. I'm getting tingles here in 3D. Right? This is what he said to her SP, when she said, I'm missing you. I'm all goosebumps right now, guys. This is big. He said, my love, you are the only one and there is no other. It's only you. Even me, I am only you. Wow! This came out of the words of her, out of the mouth. These words came out of the mouth of her SP, her specific person. Representing her I am awareness, representing what was going on within her, it was the prodigal son, right? The story of the prodigal son, that she had never left the father, that father was that love was there the whole time, unchanged, unfazed by whatever, knowing who she really is, knowing the pure love and miracle that she is. Wow. She goes, my jaw dropped, for his words were a direct reflection of who I am. These are her words. My jaw dropped. For his words were a direct reflection of who I am. Can be no other way. The story with me, this is the story of the prodigal son. Remember when the father, God, says to the son, you are always with me, and all that I have is yours. Wow. Right? She died to her old story. She was resurrected to her new story. Remember, she even had thoughts of leaving that physical body. It was so painful for her, that old story. But she died to that old story. She even had thoughts of physical death, right, while trapped in the small voice, the old story. And remember, in the prodigal son, the other line from the father said, when the second son, when he threw the party for the second son, right, the second son returned after going through the drama and trauma and squandering his inheritance in the 3D world, seeing that there was nothing there for him. He returns, just like she's now returning onto herself, resurrecting in her true nature. My son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and he is found. From the prodigal son, that's her. She was lost and now found. She was dead, but she's alive again. She has risen to that true nature. Wow. I got to tell you, that's powerful, especially with her specific person. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So here are her downloads. This email was long, but I summarized her downloads, her insights, some of her processes, what she did, right? Her downloads from her father, from the father, right? You are not minds. You're not thoughts, positive or negative. You're not the feelings. You're not the body. You're not any of it. You're the awareness in which all of that takes place. You are a great immortal being, never born, never die. In other words, before Abraham, that's what she's saying, in other words, before Abraham, I am. Fear is not real. We only make it real, right? We use the body, human. Remember, these are her words. These are her insights, but they're powerful. Only to communicate with this 3D dimension. Yes, she's right. We use the body, that human experience, that horizontal experience, to communicate with this 3D dimension. No matter what the ego says, the 3D personality, it never prevents me from manifesting what I want. She stopped listening to that. Knows that it's all hers. The kingdom is hers, right? I kept affirming that I already passed the exam during the day. She didn't do a state akin to sleep. This is her process for the exam. Knowing that I am God, I only affirmed nothing more. That was her process for the exam, right? But remember, she stepped into that knowing. That was the real process, her inner authority, her conviction, her knowing, right? I became the observer of my mind, right? I just focused on my truth as God. I don't try to flip negative thoughts. I know they have no truth unless I say so. Wow! In other words, they have no reality. She saw the unreality of those voices. She saw the unreality of that old story. Very powerful today. I don't even need positive thoughts to give me validation. So she doesn't even, and she's saying even the positive thoughts, the positive story, I don't even need that. I know who I am. Do you realize the magnitude? That's a powerful thought there. Not even the positive ones do I need. Because before Abraham, I am. Before all of those stories, positive or negative. Quote, judged good or bad, I am. Wow, that goes all the way, she goes all the way to source. This is like the teachings of Lester Levinson. Go all the way. Go beyond the mind. Go all the way to your source. She goes, I don't wait to feel good or for good thoughts. I always get what I want beyond my thoughts and feelings. Big. I understand that there's no subconscious or conscious mind. There's no division, right? She gets this. There's only one mind. If I believe I need to impress the subconscious mind, that means I'm not God. What a powerful insight. These are huge today, right? If I believe I need to impress anything, that means I'm not God. I get to decide. When I felt anxious before the exam, I asked one question. Who is feeling anxious? Who is feeling anxious? She's the awareness. It's not who she really is. Wow. And she goes, it was immediately gone. In other words, it was gone from her awareness, gone from her attention. I understand I will never convince the mind or the small me my truth is God, because the mind is made from 3D in the horizontal experience and will never understand the vertical me. Big, even using the words vertical here. I love it. Despite my negative thoughts, I get what I want because I say so. I remember everything in my reality is meaningless until I give it meaning. Wow, powerful, guys. That's how she escaped manifesting hell to manifest everything she wants, everything I want. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creatives, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. Thank you for being part of our Facebook group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors, at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful, for joining us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin, for joining our membership channel. We expect to have another video that we're working on today for the membership channel. Be on the lookout for that. We also have a live stream, a live event planned exclusively on the membership channel, September 24th, this month, on Sunday morning. This month it's coming. At 9 a.m. in the morning, we're going to be broadcasting here live from Las Vegas, answering your questions that you're sending to info@besomethingwonderful.com. Stay tuned for the live event. Creators, if you've joined the membership channel, thank you for joining. If you haven't, there's a link below. Check it out. Creators, with great love and great light and infinite gratitude, this is Tom with Be Something Wonderful in the studios in Las Vegas. Until next time, we'll see you soon.